Hi everybody and welcome back to Jaffa Cooks, and today I'm going to show you how to make a chicken and mushroom casserole. It's one of the regular dishes that I make at home. It's something that I'll make, pop in the oven, or I'll put it for a simmer, and then I'll go and do something else and come back to it a bit half an hour, 40 minutes later. So there's two parts to it. I want to saute the mushrooms off, and then I'll brown off the chicken. I'll flour it first and then just brown it off in the pan. And then I'll put everything together with some tomatoes, some garlic and some herbs, and then I'll pop it on the simmer for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and I'll serve it later on with some roast potatoes and maybe even some rice. It just depends on what the kids fancy that day. So today they've asked me to make some roast potatoes, so I'll do that. All right, so let's get cooking. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Click on the bell icon, get the latest updates, find out what I'm cooking, share with your family and friends, and give me a thumbs up. Okay, so I'm going to leave my chicken here. I'm just going to pop my mushrooms into a pan, pop some olive oil, and let that start the cooking process, and then we'll flour the chicken, and then we'll do that part of the process next. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back. So my mushrooms are on the pan. They'll carry on cooking. What I want to do next is basically flour the chicken. And the reason why I want to flour the chicken is because it gives it a nice seal and a nice brown color to it. When we go and pop it in the pan, we'll seal the chicken with some flour, and that gives it that extra coating and that crunchy coating, really. Not that it matters in this case, because we're going to basically allow the chicken to simmer for about half an hour, 40 minutes. But what it does do, it does seal the chicken and seals the moisture inside. And when you do serve, the chicken isn't dry. I've left the skin on. If you feel that you don't really need the skin on top of your chicken and you've got skinless chicken, then if you fancy proceeding with that without any skin, do so. I would always recommend flouring your chicken just to give it that extra moist chicken. But then it also has another benefit as well. Whilst this is simmering away, it also thickens up your casserole or your sauce. That's not the main thing. We want to really just seal off our chicken and make sure its moisture is kept inside. So I'm just going to have a quick look at my mushrooms. Okay, so they're carrying on. Once those mushrooms are done, I'll remove them off the heat, and then I'll start cooking the chicken off. Now, I'm going to stop for a minute, and then I'll see you back at the hob, and I'll take the chicken with me. See you then in a minute. So whilst I was frying the mushrooms, I've added the salt and pepper as well, and it looks like the mushrooms are nearly done. You need to make sure that most of the moistures from the mushroom is actually released and dried up. So I'm going to now just remove my mushrooms. Now in the same pan, I'm going to pour a little bit of olive oil. Just bring it up to heat again. Low to medium heat, and I'm going to now really just start placing the chicken skin down. If there's any excess flour, good time to remove it, otherwise it'll end up starting to burn. We don't want that to happen. And we don't want to totally cook the chicken. All we want to do is just basically cook it off, seal both sides, and then eventually we'll pop it into a dish and it'll go in the oven for about half an hour, 40 minutes. I'm going to pour a little bit more olive oil on top, and I'm going to let that cook off without touching for a good 2 to 3 minutes. Just want to make sure I can get as much each side become brown before I start popping the rest of the ingredients in. Right, just have a quick peek at the chicken. Beautiful. Getting there. Yep. You can see it's browning off nicely. I'm just going to move them around. Okay. Start turning them over. I'm bringing my casserole dish next to my pan, and as these pieces of chicken brown off both sides, I'm going to start popping them into my casserole dish. That one can go in. I've even left the wings on. A lot of the time the wings will either just get used up or put into the freezer for the next time I make hot wings or chicken wings, but in this case I thought I'd just use them up in the casserole. So I'm just going to take that off for a minute. Now, using the same pan, and there's some nice juices in there as well and some chicken fat, I'm going to now just pour in the onions, and this is on a low heat. Just going to start that cooking process off. Pop in the garlic. Now my temperature is quite low, so I pop the garlic in. I know some have mentioned garlic and onions shouldn't be put in together. Works fine for me. If you want to carry on the way you do it, that's putting them in different timings, then there's no harm in that as well. Now I've got a kilo of tomatoes that have been de-skinned and de-seeded. I'm going to pop those in. Now, if you haven't got fresh tomatoes, then by all means you could pop in tin tomatoes. I have been known to use tin tomatoes in the past, but there is that absolute different taste when you use fresh tomatoes. So I'm just going to carry on with fresh tomatoes for today, but if you haven't got them, do use tin tomatoes, not a problem. Right, I'm going to sprinkle my tarragon. Now, I didn't put a lot of salt in this because I'm going to use some stock cubes in a minute. So the chicken stock itself does have some salt in it, so I don't want to over season the chicken. Just before that, I'll put in my mushrooms, and I'll pour the stock and bring it to a boil. And once that's brought up to boil, I'll pop all the ingredients back into the casserole dish, and then I'll pop the casserole itself in the oven for about 40 minutes. Now, this is a really easy dish. Thing is, it takes about 15 minutes to prepare, and then you leave it in the oven for about 40 minutes, come back, and it's ready to serve. So I'm going to bring this to a boil, put it into the casserole dish, pop it in the oven for 40 minutes, and then I'll come back and show you what it actually looks like towards the end. See you a bit later on. Bye for now. Welcome back, everybody. My casserole is done, and it looks absolutely beautiful. The only thing left now is to just sprinkle some herbs, and this is thyme. I'm just going to let it rest for about 10 minutes and really just serve it up. And now I'm going to serve this with some rice and some potatoes. That's what the kids want. That's what they get. Right, so that's it really. Tell me how it went. Give it a go. Share with your family and friends. DM me. And if there's other recipes you want me to have a go at, send me an email. I'll catch you soon. Take care. Have a good evening. Bye for now.